Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon listeners. It's me Sulaiman Ben Sware coming back on Facebook Live. Today is the 22nd of June 2022 and the time just gone about 13 minutes past 5 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. Let's share this video and the program can start. Okay, thank you very much. The program today is to explain our failures and to understand the cartel, the vested interest in causing our failure. We keep on blaming each other and blaming a lot of other things for the hardship in the country, but the problem is that we fail in governance. And this is from when we had our independence to today. And these discussions, again, we are going to point to the evidence on present, on issues that are being shared right now on making the headlines, making the news headlines. From the Gulf Petroleum, from the Ports Authority, from the OIC, from the subsidizing of commodities to the central bank. The entire reason why people are suffering, the entire reason why we fail, is because of we have vested interest in the country, keep on nurturing politicians that will lead us to failure. And until we understand this, until we challenge these people and take them on, we cannot bring about change. And the same struggle is the struggle of every other country we know of. Even the United Kingdom here, and America and anywhere else, you have vested interest. In our difference is the vested interest money to capture that state and run that state, regardless who comes in right now. If they are not dealt with, things will not improve. They will take that person and change the government again to be their government, and they control what happens in that country, and the sufferings will continue. But they are very good at what they do, because of they will end up dividing us into tribes, dividing us into religions, dividing into everything else. And their hands are not seen in doing that. But I'll tell you, behind the scenes, these are the same people dictating. They are the patrons of these Islamists. They are the patron of these tribal agitators. They are the patrons of anything that goes wrong in the country. And this is the way they maintain influence. And that influence they maintain, that's the influence they use to empower political parties or a politician and to continue. That's why they are comfortable. Whenever there's a new politician, they take their time and they come out from the woods and take it over. And when we look at this, as I say, based on evidence, we can see this. And until we understand this and start to work towards this, we will not bring about the change. It have got to Gambian mindset that to the extent that when you do something now, people inquire, who are you doing it for? Gambian cannot even understand that somebody can just be out there to do it for the national interest. Who is he representing or what is getting out of it? This is all due to the way the state have been run and the state capture, and to the extent of other Gambians who just say, look, just try and find a way to join it. You cannot beat it, join it. You cannot beat it, join it. But the point with this is, it's not sustainable. And what will eventually happen is the country will just go into flames. You see, when the president come out to say, oh, this person make a statement in the country, no. Those statements are nothing. But even to help to reason with people, to alert people, to make people aware. But what they do is not sustainable, and that's what end up destabilizing the country, as we see in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, everywhere else it happened. Because the vested interests have just been too greedy to control of politicians, to control the country, to the extent that, look, people can no more take it, and they will take other means, because democracy will be undermined. We will keep on having the resemblance of democracy, but they will have all the repressive mechanisms, be the armed forces, be the security sector, be all the influential entities or institutions, in order to control the narrative to be their narrative, where there will be no check and balance. Even the parliament would not be effective, because they ensure that they control parliament by ensuring they determine the people to be elected, and so on. The justice system would not be a check and balance, because they will undermine the justice system so that they will get away with what they want. They will put in a system and they protect that system. They might come out at times to complain about the system, but they don't complain about the system in order to break it up, to fix it again. No. Because when they come out to talk, when they come out to cry out, because someone have locked them out. Now they just want to go back into the system to be part of it. Let's go on a perspective of history. I know, especially for young Gambians, that might come up across this word, Singapore of Africa. Singapore of Africa, or the Singapore dream. And this is realistic. This was really realistic, and this was a good program. Let me put a caveat here. I'll be talking very positive of the First Republic, what they have achieved. And I will point to issues that made them fail, issues that led us to a dictatorship. For people that come out to rubbish the First Republic for complete failure, that's a lie. That's why we should learn from this. When we have the democratic space, we make use of that democratic space to advance ourselves. Not to support any political party, not to support any individual for self-perpetuated rule. It does not serve us well. The First Republic have achieved a lot. If you understand our history, if you understand where they took us from and where they left us and where we are today. We were better off in the First Republic than we are today. And we are talking about almost 40 years since that republic ceased. Now, you wonder, and this is where I'm going to put my pointers, because most of my time I'm going to spend on talking about the positive. This is what we want to talk about here. The failure becomes where this vested interest took over and captured the state to ensure the democratization is undermined. They ensure that they control and determine who is elected to the extent of who is appointed. Now, they benefit by what? They benefit by looting the coffers. They benefit by corruption and everything else, nepotism, in order to build themselves. How did it happen? You will hear the story about the Commercial and Development Bank. Go and look at the people that bankrupt that institution. They were all patrons of the PPP. Go and ask. Yes, we used to have something called Gambia Agriculture Development Bank, a bank to develop agriculture. To tell you that the First Republic have thoughts. The First Republic not only thoughts, they have put practical measures to develop the country. They bankrupted. Go and look at the people that bankrupt that. It's not about being Mandinka. It's not about being Fuller. It's not about being Wolof. It's not about it was about Gambians using politics, associating themselves with politics, and based on nepotism, they bankrupt these institutions. It wasn't about tribe. It was not one single tribe. Now, go and find out what we used to call the Gambia Cooperative Union, and the benefit that union had for this thing, again, for agriculture. Go and find out where that ended up. It was bankrupt. By who? The patrons of the PPP. Go and find out again about what was called the NTC, National Trading Corporation. It's a state-owned enterprise selling to ensure stability of the markets. Go and find out what happened to that. It was bankrupt. Bankrupt by who? Patrons of the PPP. It was not the opposition. It was not Mandinkas. It's not Fullers. It wasn't Wolof. It wasn't nobody. Patrons of the PPP. And these are the people that tell you they love the country. These are the people that say that they love the president. These are the people they say no. They never loved Jawara. They never loved the country. It was all about themselves. And when Jawara was deposed, what did they do? These are the same people. Some of them were not alive after, but their same families went behind Jammeh. But let's come to that. What I want to talk about, that's the point. Don't let nobody say that, oh, I'm propaganda for the PPP. I just point to those things. But let's talk about things that I want to present for especially young people to understand. Seldom people go, oh, Jammeh did this, Jammeh did development. Jammeh did not do development. That's not development. Development has to have a concept. Development has to be a vision. Development has to be a strategy. Development has to be a priority. Development has to be progressive. Progressive being that development has to be civilized, about people, about respect, human rights, freedoms. That's what development is. Our Creator, be it Christians and Muslims, our Creator, respect us, human beings, to give us our freedom. Our Creator respect us, to give us our freedoms. Our Creator respect us, to give us our free will to do things that as we do. But He put in laws and repercussions or consequences for our actions. That's what human beings should be thinking of. You cannot take the freedoms of people. It's not yours to give or take. It was given by us, to us, by our Creator. Anything without freedoms cannot be a development. And, as I said, development has to be a vision. Development has to be strategic. Development has to be priority. Development has to be about respect of what the people. And the people, that's the human and social capitals. The human resource and those social capital. Without respect or cultivating the social capitals are what us, our values. What are our values as Gambians? We have to identify that. And what our values are human values. Every country will tell you we have values. But if those values cannot be anything more than human values. Respect for each other. Respect for people's right. Respect for people's freedom. Sense of belonging to each other. It's not because of I'm a Mandinka, I'm a Fula, I belong. No. Sense of belonging as a Gambian. Because a Gambian is defined by many parameters. Not only by tribe, not only by religion, not by region. We have to respect that sense of belonging. We have to have that sense of belonging to each other. Respect for each other. These values have to go with. This value have to be cultivated. This value have to be the foundations in order to build the human resource capitals. You cannot have human resource capitals if these values are absent. Then they will be useless. Give you an example. You build a hospital. We had a hospital. It used to be RVETH. Now it's Edward Francis Small. What the IGM did for us was that human values that he tampered with first. Those social capitals. What made that hospital a hospital? It's the people. What made that hospital a hospital is the patient's need. What that made the hospital is the professionals in the hospitals giving support. What made that this thing is the cleaners, everybody else that serve. What made that hospital a hospital? The taxpayers that make it happen. Now, If you go to the hospital and interfere with the running of the hospital to start to maltreat the people that give services, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the understanding. It's not your responsibility to disrespect them, to sack them, to demoralize them, and to bring in practice that are not scientific, and this is a scientific institutions, to undermine that. And next minute, if you put $1 billion in there, it does of no use. Because the professionals, the experience, the culture, the ethics, and everything else is out of the window. And ethics is based on human, the social capitals. Ethics is based on it's about what? Professionalism, the human resource. Now, if these things, we don't understand these priorities, how do we develop? How do we say that AI going to develop the country? No. He, in fact, wrecked the country. He wrecked the country. And we look at this for what people think that was the development. Because let's put that aside. Let's look at things that they said was development. He bring a radio TV station. He brought us a road. He brought us an arch. He brought us this. He brought us that. All that cannot be anything. People to use that, the people to benefit from it, they are in fear. They don't have freedoms. People that belongs to different denominations cannot even worship freely because of fear of expressing yourself. Interfering into religion, interfering in religious affairs, interfering in cultural affairs, which have not broken a law of the country. They have not broken the constitution of the country. That's not development. Now, let's explain what happened in the First Republic. For Gambians that did not understand, when we had our independence, we had the independence without nothing. If you want to measure what have the PPP done, you have to understand what they have the PPP inherited. We have to build from scratch. Roads stopped at Birkama. Schools were technically in existence, few schools. We didn't have our own currency. We did not have our own central bank. We could not even have a budget support. We don't even have a budget. Everything has to be mobilized. The human resource was just the small amount of Gambians were educated to run things. We still have support from human resource support from the colonies and from Freetown and Nigeria. They start to build from there. They built up the central bank on our own currency. Systems started to be built from what they inherited to be nationalized and move on to that. And in the space of the side of the development strategy, we had agriculture as our backbone, and the value chain was the GPMB. Agriculture was a value chain with the GPMB for groundnuts, and later at a time, in fact, some processing started for something called citrus products. To process some of these fruits oranges, lemons, and so on into something else. I don't know how it lasted. It did not end well anyway. Or 94 things stopped. But that was the value chain. But something that they did was they had something called tourism. Yes, this tourism, when Gambia decided to take tourism as a aspect of development, Senegal did not, Ghana did not, Nigeria did not, Freetown did not. All these countries that were meant to be advanced, or Ghana, the most superior to our development or anything, did not have the concept. Gambia took that and take a lead. Countries like Kenya and others were the leaders. But in that area, they took the lead. Now, they had that. But they took another thing called the transit trade. Transit trade means to use facilitate an environment, a very business friendly environment, very effective, efficient way of processing. The things open. Goods come from the from Europe to our ports. then go through land to other countries, up to Nigeria. I'm telling you, up to Nigeria. And goods come from Nigeria, cola nuts, bitter cola, some come from Nigeria to the by land, to the Gambia, because we open up. To Freetown, we open up. To Guinea-Conakry, we open up. To Mali, we open up. To Senegal, we open up. To Guinea-Bissau, we open up. That was the transit trade. It was based on a policy. It was based on a program. It was prioritized. Let's just look at those three. Tell me a government after First Republic that introduced anything apart from this three. Tell me a government after PPP that went and took this thing, three things, and took it to another level. None. They all fail on it. And for the present, it became worse. We get to that. Now, the late 80s, early 90s, there's a program called the Singapore of Africa. Today, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Senegal emerged Senegal. Gambia started that in 80s, late 80s, 89, 90, 88, 89, 90 to 92. It continued in the 80s. But I can remember, in fact, it started earlier than that. 1982 or so. I cannot still remember the year. I have to do a research on this to remember. As a young student and student of politics and social science. Yes, my upbringing was to be a student of politics and social science. I was not even home. I was in Latekunda at a friend's house. And it was time for the budget speech. For one reason, I can remember that year, the budget speech was done late in the evening. And Sirif Sehuba Sise was the finance minister. Sise was his finance minister. And I ran to listen to the budget speech. And I know when I was listening on the radio, most of the adults standing there were listening for something that really concerns them, the price of commodities. And if you understand what happened around that time, if you understand the world economy, how depressing it was, now Gambia started to think ahead, how do we move ahead? There was a world recession, things were difficult. Our economy was based on budget support, based on IMF, World Bank, this things. Now Gambia want to cut out in needs so that we can have a sustainable development. But before that sustainable development, they need to address situations, to take care of the risk, to make sure we have to recover from the brunt of what had happened from the external shocks. Then economic recovery program have to happen. I know most socialist friends are not fan of this economic recovery program. Probably due to their prejudice of ideology. But when I listened to it, I was not listening to the price. I was young. It doesn't affect me. The price of oil, price of rice, price of cigarette, price of all those things they were waiting for. And most of them asking, how much price? That's what they were asking. I was listening to the reasons being advanced. And Sirif Sehubasisi started to explain something to us. He was addressing to tell us that, look, it's possible to move from this to something else. But we have to take the pain today so that tomorrow we can sit on a better platform in order to build. And he explained this by giving examples. He gave an example of Japan after the war and what Japan had to do and where Japan went. He narrowed that down to Singapore. That's the first time I had the name Singapore. Later, I have a cousin who went and studied in Singapore. That was the first time I had the name Singapore. He explained about Singapore, our similarities to Singapore. Similarities, population, similarities of this ethnic mix, similarities of locations on these things, and lack of other resources and so on. That we can look at the part. This was in around 1982, after the Kukoy Sambasanyang and everything else. It went on, obviously. Government passed on to Bibi Dabo. And in 1990, 91-90, Bibi Dabo was the finance minister. And Bibi Dabo's budget speech went on talking about attitudinal change. Now, this time we have done the ERP, which in fact helped us to recover our budgets, our spendings and everything else, reprioritize and position to even build up to a budget surplus. Other countries started to come and study how we did it. We became an example. Then we went into a sustainable development programs. I can remember Bibi Dabo's speech again on attitudinal change in order to take up and the Singapore dreams. Now the Singapore dreams came alive. For about 82, nobody listened properly. But it was a program from there on. And you can see things that happen after. Now, we are not doing well. The ERP was this. We are not doing well in these things. We can give it to the private sector to do well because we bankrupt on all of them. We bankrupt on the banks. We bankrupt on the these sectors and that sector. We have to take some things that we can do well. The rest, let's give it to the private sector to do. And let's go on. But we have to do this, do that, do that. Now, Gambia started to look not only to the IMF anymore and World Bank. Started to look at Nordic countries, Denmark, Norway and other countries as development partners. And this is what for our tourism. For our tourism. This is how Senegambia came about. This is how Kairaba came about. In order to build a high-end, not only about mass tourism, but high-end tourism, to build the hotels that will attract the kind of clientele that we want to attract. And not only that, but have a share and control over these hotels. Not only people coming in to build their hotels and go. No, government to have something there, Gambians to have something there, shares in the hotel to determine, and the profits will come back to us. To build this hotel school, to produce the human resource that will get into these institutions and run these institutions, from the front decks to the kitchens and other areas. They all need professional training. That's how this hotel school came about. But let's look at other things that came out. Then the Singapore thought. And the Singapore dreams again. People will remember that Singapore had their independence the same time as Gambia, 1965. Singapore had their independence from Malaysia, 1965. And you look at our similarities. And what did Singapore do? Services. They are central on services. And what? Social capitals, human resource capitals, enabling environment. That's it. Fighting corruption, and make sure efficiency and delivery. And companies came and made it home. They have a location, they have their port and airports, and that's it. That's simple concept. And the Gambia dream was that too. How do we become that of West Africa? We are already doing this much. Again, go back to independence. When we had our independence, when it was debated that we cannot, and you know, Singapore was, the question was they're not viable because they're a small country. They don't have mineral resources, they're not viable. This, you see, this is the concept of Singapore. It's not these tall buildings. It's about something that we have in common more. Said, oh, this is a small country, they are not viable, they are not, if they're independent. They said, no, we will be. Based on what? Our human resource. The social capital. Gambia took our independence because of what? They said, our founding fathers said, it's not that for our mineral resources or not. It's based on our diverse people. diverse people. They didn't say based on us being Mandinkas, us being Fullers. No, they said us being Gambians as diverse people, include Mandinka, Fuller, Jola, Sarahule, and everything else. That's what it is, our diverse people. We can be a sustainable developed country. Again, another thing they said was, when they were going to discourse at the UN to see whether we have independence or integrate with Senegal, they said they're going to go with this to the conference with an open mind, either to have independence or to listen. But even if we are to go into integration or federation with Senegal, we want to maintain a Gambian identity. And in order to maintain a Gambian identity, we want the colonial government to support us to have an airport, to support us to have a seaport. Why seaport? They emphasize the seaport so that we can bring in goods directly from outside and to bring in produce from the hinterlands to the urban area and to re-export through deliver to the other countries in the sub-region. The vision was captured at the time of independence, very similar to what Singapore is. Then the Singapore dream was not alien. It was a reference point. It was already within us. It was already a vision on us. That's why when they came out in the late 80s to early 90s to make it a part of a reference as their document, just as Senegal today said, Emar Senegal or Image Senegal. This was what Gambians thought about. Our leaders, this is what they thought about. And they tried to start to make it a reality. Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, may his soul rest in peace, went to France. You see, diversifying. He knew, he flirted with the French. He knew that the French, you see, you have to be strategic. He knew that the French are interested, trying to get us so that they can blind us with Senegal and influence us. Then he flirted with them. You know, when a man or someone is trying to catch someone else, you flirt. He went to them and said, oh, look, I heard that you guys are leading in this technology, communication. As a country, we have systems that are absolute, cable and wireless. We want to be one of the samples that you can take in Africa to expand your business. We want support from your country to us. You know what the French talk about? The French talk about the bridge in Farafenni. People have to understand some of these things. We have to understand some of these things. These things were raised by the French. Go and look at on YouTube somewhere, if I find it out with CIA. When Jawara came out from the meeting, from the indoor meeting, and the journalists asked, you know, these journalists are brief. Or what do you talk about? And the issue about the bridge came about. He said, Jawara said, yeah, we are open to a bridge barrage. We are open to a bridge barrage. But we are doing the studies sponsored by America, USAID. We are doing the studies, the environmental impact, and everything else. But we just don't want a bridge. We want a bridge barrage that would, so that we can use the water for irrigation, for our farms, so that we can develop it to have hydropower, so that we can have energy from it. It was not going to be a bridge alone. It was going to be a bridge barrage. It was going to do irrigation. It was going to power energy. Think it. They thought about this. The French want this to happen because that will help them to bind us more in order for their strategic interest. Jawara went and flirted with them and get something out of it. Was the Gamtel. The Gamtel today we're talking about. Where is Gamtel today? It was forced in Africa because, let's say, South Africa was actually not Africa. Was run by white people. Black Africa, it was the force. We led in telecoms. Every African country was envious. Yeah, they said it was second in Africa after South Africa. It was leadership that brought Gamtel to us. It was leadership that brought Gamtel to us. Yes, I'm talking passionate about PPP. And I was the biggest critic. I'm still a critic. But you have to, I mean, the reason I'm a critic, I've put that at the beginning. For people have that just joined the program to understand. I've put my critics at this thing. I'm just explaining the positive that we can learn from. This is how they started to bring the GAMTEL. GAMTEL was instrumental because they want to make sure telecoms, communication. And part of the backbone of GAMTEL was going to be a television station. Already. It was part of the development specs, the vision of what to deliver. They were doing it strategically. Probably you would say that their ambitions were not done very quickly. Yes, probably they were distracted somewhere. Yes, but they had the plans. They had GAMTEL. GAMTEL was important in order to serve that service sector. You know the Singapore, again, service sector, to open up. You know, things that in when what we did in the late, what we thought about in the 80s, the late 80s to the 90s, that India became, the Bangalore became what it is. Gambia was thinking that at then, GAMTEL was going to serve that backbone for our IT. We're talking about IT today and everything. GAMTEL was for that. GAMTEL then had a school. Start to build a human resource that will go through. GAMTEL staff were the best trained. They go to the best institutions in the world. France anyway, America anyway. They have the best kind of package to encourage them to serve. When their senior managers left GAMTEL, after the coup, they went and had institutions in Africa and the world. Go and ask who's Iliman. The technical director went and served and had African institutions in telecoms. They produce the best. That's what countries do. GAMTEL was the start of things. But already, policy were developed. People were sent to train. Madam Ami Bensouda, the lawyer today, was at the AG Chambers. She was sent to train to understand the corporate governance, to understand the issue, laws surrounding offshore banking. But Gambia to serve as a haven for money to be processed. What you hear that offshore islands and stuff like Gambia was going to be an offshore banking haven. The jobs that will be created offshore banking, the money that would have been running through the country, the development. Ami Bensouda went and did the training. Go and watch Ami Bensouda's testimony at the TRRC explaining her background. She have said that there. You see, they have a GAMTEL, they have an offshore banking options to open up the country. For banks, investment banking to come in to run their wealth management in the country. And GAMTEL was going to serve all that to help and support other things. The call centers you hear in and other things you hear in today are already, it was programmed then. Now, we talk about what they wanted to do with the tourism hotels. We talk about what they wanted to do with IT, expand IT, GAMTEL and others. We talk about what they want to do with banking and others. Let's come to the point here about the export trade. The problem was here, France was controlling French-speaking Africa. Bissau was coming out of war. They still, when they come out of war, they still traumatized. They're still acting based on tribe and communist and Confucianist. They don't know where to go, how to go, where to come. They're dependent on what other people create or do. They were not free, absolute. Senegal was, French interest. At this time, Senegal business, everything was based on French, trying to say that they want to be a manufacturer and these things. French interest. They could not open up. Their economy was not open up. The export guarantees and everything was Senegal. The CFA was Senegal, France, sorry. Everything was very France. We had the freedoms to make. We had the freedoms to develop what you call the policies that create an open market. And the government did. They created open market policies. liberal policies to give and it's easy to export to Gambia. The tariffs were low, the ports were efficient, and people were trained. What was needed at that time was provided. What was needed at that time was provided. It's easy to go, boats who come in, dock, deliver, gone. They anticipate that with the growth. They anticipate the growth in the future and everything else. They said we need to develop our port. This port development program started in the early 89. By 1992, tangible results were registered. Today, most African countries, are running China. We started with China. We had a stadium before Senegal even have a stadium from China. That too was in the 1978, if I'm right. Early 70s or mid 70s, let's say, Jawara went to China and started tapping these possibilities. We had a stadium, Chinese stadium, before Senegal, Amiche. And we used China in order to deliver the two anchors, the two that still existent in the Gambia. Which government else did anything? The port extension program, they started with two. That's where they created the marine unit, that military unit, a camp, little barracks by the ferry. That's when it was created, 1992. The project started in about 1989. The Chinese. Two, they created those two these things that big ships can come in and dock and to disembark. They started the extension program. They started the container. Listen, everything else was in progress. This thing you hear in about now, after I've been sold, and everything was programmed. The airport extension program was part of the Gateway project. It was called the Gateway project. But everything was strategy, everything was priority. Because you have to pay for these things. Now they're using the most effective way of getting grants, getting support, and taking obviously loans from other ends, not only depending on World Bank or IMF. Now they started from Shehuba Sisi thinking we get the Norwegians, we get the Danish, we get the Chinese. We start to do things in that way so that we can only depend on the IMF and World Bank and others. Up to 1992, things were moving to 1994. A lot of things were going to happen. Now, again, that failed. Why? Because of, again, the state interest, the vested interest. The vested interest captured the PPP. From the vision they have and everything, these people took directions. They started to fight among themselves to control the PPP. This happened in 1992 when Jawara was completely confused now. Now they continue to push Jawara to say that you are the only person. Because of now, Jawara was so soft and lenient. Go and find out the kind of corruption, the kind of scandals that happened in the early 90s. And nobody was prosecuted. Go and find out the commissions that have ever been put under Jawara. Nothing came out of it. Because of what? The vested interest. Whoever wants to fight them, they'll fight you and get you out of the system. They control everything and they bankrupt everything they touch. Now, Jawara was old, Jawara was getting there. They started to manipulate. The normal succession could have been Bibi Dabo. Everybody thought. And I can tell you, if Bibi Dabo has succeeded, I'll tell you we will not have 1994. 1994 is caused by the PPP. 94 was caused by vested interest. Yahya Jammeh was bloody control. TRRC did not do a good job about that. What caused the coup? TRRC did not do a good job on that. Now, what happened here is they started fighting among each other. And Jawara was informed. Now, to test the loyalty test the loyalty. Jawara went to the Congress to test the loyalty. Jawara was not even intending. I can debate that with anybody who intends to leave, because few people came and appeal would not stop you. You put in the mechanism and let it move. No, what they captured him, they control him. They were fighting among each other. Now, because they want to determine who inherit Jawara. It's not that they love Jawara. It's not that they want Jawara. No, at that time they want Jawara because he was lenient with them. And they abused that leniency. They abused that leniency. It's very difficult to take very rigid these things on Gambians, because we are so much interrelated. I tell you, it's very difficult to talk even critical about Gambia, because we're so much interrelated. Anytime you talk, it's your friend's family, your family, someone you know. But we have to do it. And this handicaps Jawara. Jawara cannot lock up people. It was very difficult. Few people got, locked up. Even those people you can tell they're victimized. That's the sad thing. Those people to be locked up, we're not locked up. The corruption was, at that time, what we thought was rampant. No, now it's rampant. But at that time it was rampant because the country was small. This infighting, these interest groups, they fought Bibi Dabo out because they were scared that the Bibi Dabo might take things in a different angle. Their interests. Bibi Dabo was not their interest. Now what they do, they talk about tribalism. But Bibi Dabo was competing with another Mandinka who was Sehu Sabali. But they rather have Sehu Sabali, who is a Mandinka, but Sehu Sabali was kind of a part of the cabal. It served their interest, and that's why they have vested interest. Sehu Sabali was named. Sehu Sabali was disgraced in the courts when he took someone to the trials. That's why many Gambians, you can accuse them, they're very scared of, because they always remember what happened to Sehu Sabali. Because when you go to trials, you open a can of worms. Sehu Sabali took Asantix. Sanamane to court. Sanamane whipped him. But he was promoted to vice president. And now the succession plan and everything, everybody thought this is what's going to happen. And that's what led us to these soldiers to take over. Let nobody listen. The corruption, the infighting with the PPP led us to that. And everything was caused by this vested interest. They wanted Sehu Sabali. But to tell you something else, which again did not even feature in the TRRC, is the economy of oil. If you understand, again, there's something still not dealt with in the Gambia, is our oil exploration. And I tell you, if Jawara was removed on 100% of something, I'll tell you that 40% to 50 or nearly 50% was because of oil exploration. That's another subject for another day. Just to give you an example, Jawara was frustrated by these Western democracies stopping Gambia to try to find out, to explore. Jawara knew something was not right. Jawara went and started to look for alternative sources to explore. Went to Iran. Up to the Iranians started to come and search for gas. People that remember Kanefin Estate, to this thing where there were these things, surveys and everywhere else to the sea, everything else. They weren't happy with this. And that happened in 1989, I think, when Jawara traveled to Tehran. Some people might remember what date was. Tehran. Jawara went to Tehran and signed this oil exploration things. He had to be kicked out. That's why I said, still now, that politics of oil is affecting us. We will never know how much we got. We will never know, or we will never explore that oil until the vested interests are dealt with. And this is now empowering Senegal. And now they are using Senegal's stability and everything in order to do their business. We have to understand this, but that's not for another day. Now, when Jawara left, from the coup d'etat and everything, the vested interest, what did they do? They rally around Yaya Jammeh. At the beginning, Yaya Jammeh thought he had control. At the beginning, Yaya Jammeh wanted to put measures. At the beginning, Yaya Jammeh wanted to fight. It was a matter of time. They took him over. Everything else become, they make him believe, look, tell you this, at the beginning, they went and told Yaya Jammeh, Smaraka, everything you said is right, but we have to tell you, you have to find something to able to fight. You know, they will make you believe that there are other vested interests there, and they, the vested interests, are nationalist, patriotic, and they want to help you to fight the vested interests. They went to Yaya Jammeh and make him believe that that vested interest, make him believe that they are helping him to fight other vested interests. Sumaraka, because of Jolanga, then the Fibuga Guinea. You see, that's how they start to manipulate. Because of the Japan, yo, Hamulo Jugeulo Feden, then the Fibuga Guinea, make him insecure. And why am I low water def, and I want to answer on people, I'm a system bula dimbale. I'm dara hamna you wahinga corrupt if it wahinga about corruption. Why don't I am low danger sabo papunga muna kuti pumuna hair. That's how they introduced this corruption to Yaya Jammeh. And started to show him ways to do it. If you know the people who turn out to be the first advisors to Yaya Jammeh, you'll be surprised. I remember this. I was sitting at the VU, and this guy came, one of the vested interest guys came and started showing off. Sumaraka, Dekabi, Dara. Sumaraka, yun Dekabi, Ken Muno for Dara. I mean, you things then called control. I knew where he was going. I knew a few days ago he was at the State House. I ambushed him. He started to bluff, yeah, kufok na Yaya Jammeh dof la du dof. If he lila started to talk. And when he was talking, he started even the divide and control. Yes, the person who was saying this was a Wolof. That's why I'm saying it in Wolof. And he was saying something. He's no more. That's why I'm not going to even say his name. He's no more. Yaya Jammeh taught him a lesson. He thought he was smarter than Yaya Jammeh. He started to say even differentiating the Wolofs. That's how they start, even themselves. Now, because of he's a vested interest belonging to a certain interest, but there were other vested interests who are Wolof. He started to differentiate. After those, then he went to the Mandinkas. After those, he went to the other things. That's what they do. When we have a problem of tribe, these are the people that bring tribe in it to control us. I let him start deliberating. And he said, no, Yaya Jammeh do duff. So, so what here moms are living. And I stop him. And I go, Maneko Smamagi, Mayo. Maneko, yo, danga wah Yaya Jammeh li. Maneko, muwahlali. Muna swara ka no ko xamé. Maneko ndik xamna ko wax Yaya Jammeh. Maneko nak ngeen wara moytu. Maneko yow sa bop wax nga ne Yaya Jammeh du dof ngeen wara moytu. Xamulen ko leen deal with. Maneko bo buggé sa appointment. Xamna ku la bugal appointment, xamna no amé appointment, xamna ne bo buggé appointment, xamna ku Yaya Jammeh consult to find out about you. Te laajte na lutax ngay dem gis ko boko waxe lutax nga gis ko xamna ko Yaya Jammeh waxal about loko wax o lo ñew ci mom motax mu prepared and brief manako Yaya Jammeh digalo du dof. Then Yaya Jammeh was thinking of doing the right things, but matter of time he became greedy. The power get to him, the lavish life, this thing they introduced to him, got to him, women and everything. Yes, the vodka, the whiskey. Yes, they were taking vodka and whiskey to Yaya Jammeh at the beginning. And these are Muslims. Introduce him to that lifestyle. Women. Some of them, their own daughters. They don't care. They don't have values. That's why what they do first is to break our social capitals. They talk about tribe. They talk about energy because they don't have values in themselves. That's how they captured Yaya Jammeh and started showing him how to do things about Taiwan's money. And now Yaya started to see imaginary enemies. Started to tell him how to manipulate the systems in order to entrench himself. You think Yaya Jammeh knew all this before he came to power? Yaya Jammeh knew nothing before he came to power. Yeah, he have read so many books, he have a lot of intentions, he had a lot of dreams. But does it mean that he knew governance? No. He was coached. They coach him how to manipulate the system, the consultations, and everything else, just as now they're doing with the military governments in West Africa. I just told someone, the military government in Guinea, hey, I'm going to negotiate contracts for the mining Manaland CIM. Maneko dafa fen lum len wax ne fum leni maneko setan fu mo mujje vested interest bi share am la mo jël lañ ko won mu jox share mu nopi way maneko refinery gisam mo ko Guinea. We have to understand this. They came and took over Yaya Jammeh. I remember the first anniversary. To give you context, you know, when I talk about the corruption, how they started, the first anniversary of the coup in Bakau, there was a checkpoint at the towards the stadium. I was around there talking to soldiers, and Amadou Samba was coming late. He came late and they stopped him because Yaya was about to get the security, and he was appealing. And I said to the guys, boy, balance ko modem. So the guy, and I appealed to the guys. I mean, some people I know. But he was panicking when I'm gonna be there. I knew that was coming. I knew that months before Atape, the Senegalese, architect, they were already thinking of building a company. Already, these are the people who went to Yaya Jammeh to show him how to do things. Now that Taiwan money came, they started parting that money. That's how they come to this arch of costing us how much? I forgot again. Inflated price. Yaya Jammeh took his cut. They will talk about the airport. Go and find out. I think it was $100 million. Go and find out. Everything nonsense. They did their cut. Yaya Jammeh took his. That they introduced this thing to him. Is that development? Is that development? Or the new airport? This thing? No, refurbished. There's no new. The terminal was already the land, the rail, all those things were there. Everything was absolute. The conveyor belt were absolute. They were like toys. How much Yaya Jammeh took from there? Foundations, nonsense. The Farfenni Hospital. Just check how much was invested in that. That's how they took over Yaya Jammeh. With all his ambitions, dreams, and everything else. People, we knew him before. But he became one of them. And became worse. Enticed. They enticed him with women, alcohol, and everything. Their own daughters, their own sisters, cousins. They start importing women for him. And corrupted him. Our values. It went on and we know where it lasted. Yaya Jammeh started to take over and own everything. This is what happens. The same issue came up with Barrow. The minute we all know how Barrow came out to be a president in Dakar. You see, some of this vested interest, later they fell out with Yaya Jammeh because Yaya Jammeh kicked them, took smarter than them, as I warned them before, kicked them out. And some of them, if you know, I'm not going to say, if you know some of the things that have never come out to the terrorists, you will never come out. What Yaya Jammeh did with some of these vested interests, you will not believe it. Some of these people later came and behind the scenes said that they're supporting the struggle. No, they had an agenda. People that know. I was invited in different capitals. I was invited in different forums. But I made something very clear. I will not participate with anything or anybody that I know did not have a sole interest of changing for better. I will not be part of any coup. I will not be part of any plot against Yaya Jammeh if it is for the benefit of other people, the vested interest to come in. I know them. Some of them masked and said, yeah, they were supporting what we do. They were talking to us and others. To the extent of, if you knew what some of these people wanted, now I with their rivals, the people who were in the system, people that they thought they betrayed them. There was this person, he's with Barona. That person said to me, Sumaraka, Danga wara defni, because the person already believed that we can do things. And he said he was ready to put anything that's necessary to do it. To play along, to understand him, I played along. I said to him, this is possible, we can do it. What do you want from it? And this person, again, the vested interest said, yen roll na defect, yen tear dekabi for 2 years, transition. If you knew you, manako and living it. And he selected, he named certain people today who were with Yaya Jammeh, who were that he thought betrayed him. And he said, this person, that might be deafening them. Deafening them, what that meant was to get rid of him. And that get rid of, I did not believe at that time it's just to ruin his business. No. They get him out of the system. Completely. That's how angry they were. And some of these people, some of them, when they went to the car, because we still like a kind of a camaraderie, talking talking up with them and so on. And Barrow went to the car, they all converged at the car. Some of them run from Gambia, from anywhere they went to the car. They were inviting us because they're talking to us. They were trying to take our psyche, and some of them thought we were so influential, not knowing that we could have been influential in that. But we were concentrating on issues that were very important to how to make sure Jammeh leave that country without bloodshed. That was my and our actually concentration. But no, when people were thinking about how Jammeh should leave, these people are taking over, capture, state capture. And some of them consulting us. No, Sumaraka, the Mawara New Dakar, then you want you talk. No, Barrow, yeah, man, then by this night, Barrow, be, Wanakos affair, Lila, your left, that's all they were. I said to them, look, UK be la talk. Muna def luma def, UK be la talk, Jekal luma def. Manako, I'm a very interested in Barrow. I'm a very sohla si Barrow. Barrow lafa am a task, and that task len ko japale. And they started. That's how they said, they cut us off and started to take off. That was the time I came out and started telling the UDP, be careful. Barrow was captured. He was captured. He was taken over. And that state interest, go and find out why Yaya Jammeh assets in the war is not been touched. It's from that state capture. Again, just to point to that, to explain to Gambians. In the United Kingdom here, there are two properties we identified them. That we had the indication that it belongs to Yaya Jammeh. Because these properties are not, you will not find Yaya Jammeh name on them. Just as the Potterman property, you didn't find Yaya Jammeh names on them, but there, you will know how the properties were acquired. And on behalf for Yaya Jammeh, and will end up be by cell companies. Two properties. But not only that. In St. Vincent, accounts in St. Vincent, properties in Guinea-Conakry, properties in, almost everywhere, billions. And this, we knew this during the struggle. Billions. People concentrated on when went through the Ghana Commission. One went through the Ghana Commission are money that went through the systems in the Gambia there. These were money that went through other means. Yes, some of the properties here came from that money from Ghana Commission. But you can see where some of those money stayed. But this government is not interested because of what? The deal they struck with Amadou Samba. When Koto Sidi Sane came out, almost a year after, to explain that Zainab Jammeh was in Dakar with Amadou Samba, and we were seen, people went and attacked Koto Sidi. I came and said that you guys got to be careful. They went and attacked Koto Sidi. Yes, because of it was Amadou who managed Jammeh, most of it. The other was Zainab Jammeh. The others was Zainab Jammeh. Ahmad was one, but Zainab Jammeh started to control some of these things through his own channels. Now they met in order to sort out certain things. That's why before Jammeh left the Gambia, Jammeh said he wants to sit down with Amadou Samba, could not. Now, in order for things to be quieted, Zainab had to flew in towards Senegal and sit down with the blessings of Senegalese intelligence. Because it was the same Senegalese intelligence that broke the deal between Barrow and Amadou Samba. People who can remember, when the citizen arrest was done on Amadou Samba when he was in Dakar, by Amadou Seked Jane and others. At that time, go and find out the accounts that were run through Dakar by Amadou Samba for Yaya Jammeh. And the reason that Amadou Samba was in Dakar at that week, the mercenaries he was hiring to eliminate Gambians in Dakar. People, I don't think even some of the people who were involved in this knew the extent. That's why we told them, disrupted something. By doing that citizen arrest on Amadou, disrupted something. Leave it to roll out. People were on tap on this. Because the minute some got a bit of information, they rush. Now, what they did was, an account existing in Dakar that was linked to an account in Singapore was converted to a sovereign account and used a special directives based on national security that the government in exile, Gambian government in exile, would need the funds. And those were converted and given to Barrow as a signature. Amadou Samba was the one who negotiated this with the help of Samuel Sarr and the Senegalese intelligence and the Senegalese government. In order for Amadou Samba not to be followed. Amadou Samba went to the TRRC for Astafula, the Ghana Commission, just to have this, to say that he's been held accountable. You think Amadou, how much did they get from him? But if the Gambia government was to do the right thing and get treasure hunters to follow the trail and to recover our money, I would tell you that minimum of $1 billion would have been recovered. But they cannot do that because of the deal they struck in Dakar. To give you an example, the Panama accounts that have $1 billion, Amadou Samba and the Gambian economy, there's no way a legitimate business practice in the Gambia can give you $1 billion. Not in 100 years. $1 billion. Ask yourself where that money came from. We can go on and give you more of that. But let's move on. Just to, we all have seen what happened. State capture. And that's the same thing they do, just as they did for South Africa. They make sure everything else, the elections and everything, they participate, they make the petrol, but they will end up bankrupting everything else and the government will fail. Just as they supported South Africa, they bankrupt Commercial Bank, they bankrupt the Agriculture Development Bank, they bankrupt NTC, they bankrupt GPMB, they bankrupt the Cooperative Union, they bankrupt anything, all those things that PPP government have put in place in order for the country to develop. You see, if we don't fight corruption, if we don't fight the special interest, all our good intentions will come to nothing. And when they do this corruption, what they do is they use mechanisms, strategies that would make them able to capture us and control us by using tribalism, using nepotism and everything else, and control the media and anything else that have influence in the country. Even our musicians, they control. Go and find out then the magnificent Gambian National Troupe Go and look at their records. All the patrons who were there. All our jellies who were their patrons. Anybody who was independent thinker, a jelly or any griot of form, you will not be relevant if you are not part of the state capture. And this is continuing now. Now, let's go to things that we have to look at to understand where we are now. And if you let me, give an example. As I said, there's nothing that was introduced by this government or Yajame government that we can look at to say that they introduced this and it's benefiting the country. I'll give you a reason. You know, I talked about how the Port Authority project was started by Jawara, where Gamtel was started by Jawara and Gamtel backbone, and even to say that Yajame TV was because of Gamtel, it could not be without Gamtel. I mean, anything you talk about, the roads were a matter of loans taken on the name of Gamtel. That's nothing. Now, show me one thing. One thing that would have been even credited was to, we had NTC's gone, when he came and created that enterprise to try to help to stabilize the markets and so on. What happened? He ended up owning it. It became his own. Then it was not a national thing. It became Kanilai Farms, Kanilai this, Kanilai this, Kanilai this. Show me anything, nothing. One thing that people might say that, oh, he brought was GNPC. GNPC is the petrol marketing business. But that's an example of the vested interest. From Gum Petroleum, we can say, oh yeah, but he introduced Gum Petroleum and GP. No, we had a petrol storage system before in Afdai, private sector. Yes, if he had introduced something for the interest of Gambia, no, Gum Petroleum became part and a very evidence of the vested interest. And did Barrow change it? No, it's still in the vested interest. That's why we had this Gum Petroleum crisis. Remember, in 2015, 2016, I think, Idi Job and others were arrested. People dealing in these petroleum deals and others were arrested. Some were arrested because they were a member of boards and stuff like that. Yeah, there are victims there. But I'll tell you, the vested interest was running that. But Yaya, again, at that time, had control over the vested interest. He had himself and Basi, and they controlled this industry. That's why they created that industry. When that industry was to be created, when they thought about now the Afdai cell company was not viable anymore, they needed a new place and a new beginning. The Gambia government made advertisements, and in the United States, in fact, the lobbyist, I forgot his name, there was a lobbyist appointed by Gambia government who had lobbied multinational companies that would have come and run the place. And probably they would have done a better job. No. Abasi said to Yaya, no, this is very lucrative. Let's find a way of doing it. Find a way of doing it, they took state money. Yeah, Basi always smart. Basi makes sure, but where does it end up? It doesn't end up well with anybody. Basi now is I don't want to use the word. Just go and find out what happened to Lebanon and find out what happened to Basi. What they did was they used state resources and all the means of these things, and that's how Gum Petroleum came into being. They control our own. And Basi said that he has shares, these people have shares. They forced Social Security to have shares, but the shares, everything they bought, there's no dividend that was paid to these people. Everything was stolen between Basi and Yajam. And GNPC was run in the same manner. You see? That's why when we start our campaign, we were hitting GNPC petrol stations because we know it was going to hurt them. It was not hurting the nation, but them. And that cartel continued. Barrow came and Jammeh controlled it to extend when Barrow came. Now, every Tom, Dick and Harry now. Go and look how many vested interests we have in that industry. And within 5 years, we see what happened. But still now, there's a crisis. Instead of reforming it, no. Now, Barrow is controlling it. And still with her now, Barrow has shares that he controlled to Star Oil. Petrogas, Star Oil. Vested interest. Barrow is part of it. Now, this is what happened with Gambia Petroleum. Now, look at the trial of the Gambia Petroleum. That's why you think those two people caused everything. I'm not giving a verdict here. The case is in the courts. Whether they play a role or not is for the courts to decide. But they are accused that they play a role. But why those two? You think those two only can do everything else? Who are the other enablers if they have done it? You will not. Because the vested interests are fighting among themselves, and they will sacrifice these two in order to insulate themselves and the current system to continue. They will come and try to influence you. They will come and try to talk to you. But what do? To control. They don't want the system to change. This happened in 2016. Jammeh arrested some people because he thought they were robbing him. Now, the system did not change. Jammeh took over control. Barrow came. Now Barrow is taking control with other vested interests. And two people will be put on trial. If they found guilty, you think justice served? No. If they're not found guilty, do you think justice served? No. Because justice would be, Gambians don't know what is happening. What had happened, we can't account for it. And the failure of accountability means justice is not served. That's why my recommendations were that an independent company to be taken to as a receivership, to run it as we need for now, short term. By that time, we look a way to reform the system through investigation that will be done, an audit firm to use to audit the systems and everything, and recommendation will be made, and then a new board and everything will be formed. It did not happen. Now, we come to the OIC. When I talked about the OIC, I followed the OIC. I knew what I was doing. The new management of the OIC, they have 3 years. 3 good years. Let's look at what came out. Just a minute. Now, what happened here is, I saw a headline that says OIC sourced 300 million for summit infrastructure projects. Okay. Now, the OIC finally came out to say that, the OIC is still in the hanging. When I came out last year, before the elections, I said, all these foundation stones and everything, the OIC have already failed. These people should come out and tell us the truth. They are rushing to try to win Gambians over for the elections. And if they take these roads now, what is going to happen is rainy season will be here, and these roads would not have moved an inch, and the whole country will be disrupted. What happened today? Go and look at the Domoda all over, and Superkanga all over. The whole roads are disrupted because of they know what they were doing. They wanted to keep their jobs just to say that they have a job. They wanted to fool the people that in this thing by the foundation stones and everything. When things are not done right. From before that, I raised the alarm. What is happening with OIC? What is happening with OIC? And this is why you cannot take an institution like the OIC project and give it to people that did not have the experience, did not have the knowledge, did not have the mindset to develop something. And that's what happened. They are given to them because of political reasons. The CEO related to the vice president and supporter of Barrow. My brother, what was it called again? Yaromama, gave it to him, political reasons. Now, what experience, what knowledge does these people have? What mindset does these people have to go and to deliver this project? They have nothing. And if you give them extra 10 years, would not happen. And the corruption for that matter. The corruption from Bailamin Job and Barrow. And the reason Barrow got rid of Bailamin Job, that he's angry, because Bailamin Job benefited more, that's what he believes, that benefited more from the projects than him. He did not kick Bailamin Job for corruption, no, because he is not happy that Bailamin Job benefited more from him. Now he brought someone who he trusts, which is Silla, that Silla would make sure he benefited more than anybody else. He would not care if Silla is corrupt. He would not care if loans come. Let us just borrow half his way. And I gave examples and point to evidence of this. Who owns Gambisara Company? Have Gambia ever heard of Gambisara Company on road construction? No. They are connected to Barrow. And I name another, I forgot the name of the company, it's a Sierra Leonean company. It's very difficult to say. Those people, the bribe, they paid to Barrow in order to, and Bayram Job and others in order to get the contract. You think that corruption of people that did not have capacity, they don't have knowledge on anything, beginning contracts and pay bribes, what they're going to do? Deliver? Now, another thing is we had this pledge before this new management came in 2019. I think June 2019 they started. Almost 3 years. 2019, 2020, 2023 years. Yeah. What do they have? Did they make sure they mobilize? None. The reason for the OIC was not to take loans alone. Mainly was to use the goodwill of the OIC or UMA to sponsor us. That's what Senegal did. To use it as a way of development. And when Yaya Jammeh bid for it, yes, it started from Yaya Jammeh, that was the concept. How Senegal developed, talking benefit, other countries benefit from it. But end up what? They did not have what it takes to make sure even the pledges are finalized. They get the resources to come. And I'll give you this example. Let me read through and hear it. When they came out day before yesterday and say it's hanging, now they managed to get a press release. This is, I'll take it as a press release, as a good news factor to come out. They mobilized 300 million for summit infrastructure. Ask yourself, how did they mobilize this? How much of this is loans and everything? It's easy to get loans. Did they manage to get more grants than the people that work for it? No. They said the Organization of Islamic Conference, the Gambia has secured $300 million of Saudi funds for implementation of infrastructure in the Gambia. Yankuba Diba, OIC chief for the Gambia, told reporters at a news conference held at the International Conference Center in Bidio yesterday. Likely, I almost don't want to run into percentage, but I can say over 3/4 of our funding came from Saudi Arabia. In any development, when we conceptualized the OIC project, I meant the entire gamut of what we have to do. From the onset, we have envisaged that we could need an envelope of at least $500 million, and this was roughly estimate of all what we wanted to do. But like in any planning process, we kind of based on reality and narrow down to availability of funds, he said. Currently, under our belt, we can proudly say we have secured $300 million in terms of our projects. And if I can give quick rundown of those projects, they are mainly 5. Project number 1, which is the 50 kilometers road, urban road. This is the $50 million. And is entirely funded by Saudi. We also have the VBIP at the airport, which is 1.2 million. You see, what he's saying here is these things were secured at the beginning, secured before June 2019. When he took over, this thing was already achieved. For their responsibility was to implement this pledge and loans and anything else. Go and look at the records. Did they do it? No. They are incompetent. They are corrupt. Awarding of contracts and everything become a problem. That's why the projects are not finished. Now, these people talk about, I'll show you another fault here. We have the last, we have a last project, which is our hotel project, which is $100 million project in terms of funding pattern. That big difference, different compared to the rest of the projects, because that public-private partnership, which is consensus agreement between the Gambia government and a private enterprise. Again, that $100 million was a lie. That person, they said a private investor cannot raise $1 million. The person who designed the architectural design that they shown on their website was not paid in full. The so-called investor could not even pay him in full. The person is available. Now, this person, we talk about that he cannot raise $100 million for a hotel at that time for Gambia. It doesn't make sense. We're in the middle of a pandemic. No investor will put 100 million for a hotel in the Gambia when tourism is just dive on the ground. Everything was a lie. The person background was questionable. He's a con artist. He goes and bribe presidents, ministers, get contracts and not even deliver. And that was not an allegation. That was a fact. The audit report from Senegal, the country he came from, yes, his mother is Gambian, in Senegal, proved that he was given, because of he's a Macky supporter, he gave 2 vehicles to Macky, and one of the vehicles nearly killed Macky. The vehicle caught fire. That person was given a contract for IT source and everything. He did not deliver. That's what the auditor said. He have never done any project that is huge, big, or narrow. You look at the person's track record, and you say 100 million. And again, the hotel they're talking about is a land they don't own. They still cannot own that land. The verdict have came out again that they cannot own that land. How can you even start to build on a land you don't own? Which investor would invest on a land that you cannot have grounding on, you cannot own? But this is vested interest. A corn artist from Senegal can just come and have something because he works with the vested interest. And the OIC failed because of the vested interest. Go and look at the contracts awarded the vested interest. From Bailamin Job and his vested interest, from Barrow and his vested interest. That's why I said our problem is not being Sarahule, Manjago, Fula, Mandinka, or this thing. It's the vested interest. They belong to all these tribes. They belong to all this religion. And mostly Muslims, for that matter, because we are almost 90% of the population. Now, let's move on to another one. Subsidies of commodities. This is laughable. Again, we told you people here. Where is the government subsidy? Now, let me explain about these subsidies. Go and find out in Nigeria or any country that does subsidy. It's a big corn game. It's a big corn game. Nigeria subsidized for fuel, petroleum. Go and find out when what happened. They instead of building their refinery to get everything done or creating a conducive environment so that investors will come and invest and create facilities to process these things. No, you don't need a subsidy. No, the policymakers and the vested interest would create an environment that would not be even viable for anyone to build a refinery. Now you have to do something is to export the fuel, crude oil, and it gets refined, and the refined products brought to Nigeria. And now they said that in order for it to be cheap in Nigeria, we have to put money in it, which is called subsidy. And what they do is, the budget for subsidy will be surpass even the amount of fuel imported in the country. And that will blatantly show that corruption. And that's been going on since Nigeria became independent. And you, in the Gambia, they said, oh yeah, they're going to subsidize these commodities, rice, cement and others. Go and look at the biggest importers of this thing. You see, in Gambia, we have people trying to do the right thing, especially some of us, not all. Some of us from the diaspora, because some of us have lived here so much now, they have a culture that we take up here. We try to take that culture transfer. That's why when we go Gambia, we fail. Because of the conditions on the ground is so conducive for someone who wants to do the right thing. You try to pay everything right and everything, and it's not sustainable. You bankrupt. You refuse to cut corners. You try to be fair to your employees and everything else, you fail. Go and ask for the Singati. He will tell you how difficult it is. Go and ask Elizabeth. He'll tell you how difficult it is. And other people I know. Now, this vested interest, go and find out. Go and find out who are these people and their relationship with Barrow. Go and find out their relationship with the NPP. It's the same people, just as in the PPP days. The people that bankrupt the GPMB, bankrupt the NTC, bankrupt the cooperative union, bankrupt the commercial bank, bankrupt the Gambia agricultural bank, bankrupt everything, were the patrons of the PPP. Now we have people that supported the dictatorship are the same people to the extent of even supporting the killing of Gambians. They don't care. And they'll tell you about crime. And these are the same people now continue to support Barrow. And it's not sustainable, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I said everything that was good about Sadauda and his government, we lost it to a dictatorship because of these people. That's why we're saying that once we have this democratic space, we use the democratic space to ensure we fight these people and get them out of the system. If not, we will continue to fail. And go and check Wage. I'll give you an example, just a simple example. When 3 years ago, the onion women farmers, it was actually for women farmers, someone at the ministry contacted me through an intimation that he wants someone to blow the whistle. Because at the ministry, they are trying. You see, people are in the system even trying to make things work. They're trying to help Gambian women, especially Gambian women farmers and Gambian agricultural industry, the people, to sell their onions. But it's very difficult. Because what happens during time of Yahya Jammeh, there was an embargo. I think it's a 3 months or something like that, period when Gambians harvest, there's an embargo. So that moratorium for that sense, and moratorium so that importations will not happen. To give opportunity for Gambians to consume what is going in the country so that Gambian farmers can sell at a price that will make it sustainable to continue to develop their farms and move on. And every country does this in order to grow their economy. If you cannot subsidize, that's why before you subsidize the importer, subsidize the farmer. That's what the EU does here. Subsidize for export. We should fight them by subsidizing to produce. He said to me, this is the problem. Now, because of Wage and others close to the president, now they are disregarding this moratorium. Now, our women farmers, especially, they've got tons. And I was given 20 tons. I think he gave me about the tonnage produced by these people. Gave me the tonnage produced by Karafi, tonnage produced by Radville Farms, tonnage produced by others. And they believe that this could have served during this period of this. But the onions were getting brought for us to come out and blow the whistle to agitate. And we run that campaign. We agitate, took my audios to make them in fuller, wall of money, different this thing, send it on the campaign. The hit got on them. They came and find a way to solve that. But every year, women are going and farmers are going through the same problem. If they wanted to change system, that's what they would have done. Example, to say about food. Yellow maize, takes 80 days from the to be sown to harvest. 80 days. Now, why did the Gambian government not pump millions and a program that will encourage Gambians, and it's not only yellow maize, most of our cereal will take 80 days to harvest. Now, if we say that, oh, this is the problem, food, why can't we revolutionize our agriculture? A campaign to feed ourselves. A campaign realistic, that where investments provide the means, seedlings and other things, so that even Gambians in Fajara, Gambians in Bakau, Gambians in Banjul might even put something somewhere. The mindset to change to feed ourselves, but no slogans without any practical or policies strategy that will deliver. And you take one of the most useless people among us to lead the agriculture department, and you said that you prioritize agriculture. The vested interest again. No, they went into the subsidy. And let's listen to the finance ministry. The Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs have expressed frustration over the cement and flour industry, failure to meet the country's demand despite government massive subsidy over past 4 years. And the headline said that government 4 billion subsidy on cement and flour failed to yield dividends. Why subsidize that? Why did they not subsidize for the other forms of construction to be encouraged? So there's other this thing that could. Why subsidize other things? Why flour? Why not subsidize to make sure people grow these grains? Gambians will tell you, hey, we can use cassava. Hey, we can use this. Do you produce enough cassava to make bread? Do you produce enough this thing to make something, anything else to make bread? And you think that you can just tell Gambians stop eating bread and this thing? And do you think people just love to eat bread as well? We have to ask all these questions. Or you think that it's easy just to move from flour, eating flour bread to another bread? This always planning and developing the plans, and you have to build something. But no, the vested interest will make sure the most incompetent will be in office as a government, as a politicians, and those politicians will rely on the most corrupt and incompetent people as technocrats. That's why we have what we have. Now, in order for them to win elections and maintain, they'll use corruption, they'll use money, they will use dividing us according to tribe and religion to concentrate on that, to hate each other, for them to push their candidates. One of the most useless candidates and Bane, our president. And the same technocrats will turn around to say, no, the problem is not government, it's the people. Government people are lazy. It's a lie. Government people are not lazy. Yes, some people are lazy. But that reflects on the leadership, not on the people. I'll tell you that. You think the youths taking the back way are lazy? You think the youths taking the back way don't have courage? You think they're taking it for adventure? They want to do something. And it's a responsibility of leaders to create that environment. Responsibility of leaders to motivate. There should be something. You cannot just have we don't even have economic policy. We don't have a plan. Where's the NRP? NDP? Where is the NDP? They don't even talk about it. It was all about donor conference. But we don't have a plan. We move on. I will give you another example. As I said, I'm just giving examples here to what happened. The central bank. Now, our central bank is a laughing stock. Scandals upon scandals. And you'll be surprised, that place is just rotting. That place is just rotting. Still now, we cannot have the facts. I refuse to continue reporting on it because it's even difficult to get the facts. Because I want some evidence, the recordings and so on, but they don't want to share it. Because you know these people, and not only me, I know people who are interested in trying to get to the facts. But the police is entirely corrupt. The entire system is corrupt. It's a corrupt system. And interest groups, they infiltrate the police, they infiltrate justice and everything else. Now they want things to stay, the status quo to stay. Now, even if they are penalized, that is just like putting a child on the naughty step. But they will not come out from that naughty step to explain to us, to tell us what actually happened for us to deal with the system. No, they want to tell us something for us to say that so that they can get back to the system, to deal with the people that lock them out so that they will open the door, threaten them and they get back to the system. They don't want to address the system. That's why the system stays as it is. For them, if we think that the vested interest would do anything to better us, no. That's why we need to fight them, to fight the system, to change the system. They will not do it for us. Because I cannot have access to some of the details that we need in order to decode, to know where it lies. We don't know. But now, the confidence in banking in the country is ruined. Now, look at this thing. Again, when we talked about the central bank just waking up one morning, sent everything, said, no, all the people that save their money in Forex are not going to get Forex back. Some people jump on social media, yeah, it's good because of the foreigners are controlling the Forex. That was silly. And I said it's silly. And that's what we fall for. Because of the government keep on telling us the foreigners. You know, one minute they come and blame the youths. The other minute they come and blame the people. The other people, they come and blame the foreigners. But they use the youths when it suits them right to have youth movement. They have women movement. They have the people's movement. They have everything to support their vested interests. But the youths, they call lazy and useless and everything, they can turn them into movement to support them. But they cannot turn them to movement to be revolutionize agriculture or do other things. They will blame the people for whatever it is, but they cannot use the people to this. But they can, election time, they can motivate them, give them handouts to come and vote for them massively. They will blame them. The same thing, they will use foreigners to vote for them. They will use foreigners for everything. And some foreigners do. Not every foreigner. But turn around, blame foreigners when things go wrong. For us to fight, you see? Each other. And some people buy it. Yeah, the foreigners. Because they believe that the fullers vote for Barrow. Now, yeah, and the forex is dominated by fullers. That's why it's good that this thing is done. You see, we fall for these things. We should be very careful. We should be very careful. Now, I said it's stupid. When you do that, it undermines confidence and make people to react. When people react rationally for them, is to hold their money. There was a reason this system was introduced. So that to avoid people hoarding things in their houses, keeping their dollars. Some people are small businesses, they need this thing, and they keep it with them. So that the exchange rate mechanism would not affect their business. They try and buy it as much as accessible it is, and some of them make different kind of arrangements. Some of them would ask you, bro, so soxla dalasi Gambia wax mako. Ana lang joxal dalasi Gambia nga teyel mako fa na gis kuy ñew nga indil mako. Now, nga indil mako, I'm sorry, I have to say it in English for other people. You see, people would, some people would say this, and I tell you, people who are even paying school fees or paying other services, or being businessmen, important, small business people. This is one way they do things in order to beat the exchange rate mechanism. They would tell their friends and family in the diaspora that if you need dollars in the Gambia, tell me, I'll pay dollars out for you here. Then you will keep that money for me there. Some of them have accounts, or some don't even have accounts in Europe. Or give it to someone, my family member there. So that they can pay their services or whatever they want to import. Or if they are not importing from where you are or around there, what they say that you hold on to that money, then if I see someone coming to the Gambia, or if you see someone coming to give it to them, and they will bring the money for me. And when they brought that dollar, these people would take it and put it in the bank. Now the bank would be liquid in having this foreign exchange, rather than the money's being kept in their houses. Now, if you turn around one day and stop that, because of that, in that way, it was provided liquid to the banks. You want to stop that? Now, I have my dollar. Yes, I have $500 there, or 1,000 or 5,000 that you force me to exchange. Fine. But now, if I have more dollars, I stick it in my house, or in my office, or wherever I can keep it. But I'm not going to put it where you would just come up and take it. Now, I am keeping it here, and I'm going to use the what? Non-formal. I'm going to use what they call the black market. And what do they do? Empower the black market. I say you are empowering the black market. Because if you understand Forex, I did Forex in Gambia. But what Forex is in Gambia is so unethical. Boundary to haram. Boundaries of haram. Look, if you know the system of how Forex works in the Gambia, you'll be surprised. It's the same people in these systems that encourage the black market. They will come to me, tell me that they have Forex. They will take Forex from the vault, give it to you to sell, or come back even to sell it to them. They do every kind of thing. That's how some bankers emphasize, make money through Forex. Manipulating for dealing Forex with the local disease. They make arrangements with their local how to play the markets. They know how to hold them. They call them, they give them information. Inside trading. What's called inside trading, illegal. Ethics are not there. These are vested interests. Vested interests. I explained when a certain entrepreneur came to buy a property and the banks were closed, and he was taking a loan when banks were closed, and this money was coming from the vault, and the loan was not applied for, interest was not paid to bank. And that money bought a property today, and international business is settled in this thing, making millions. We have seen that in 1992. Yes, 92 elections. Because a certain politician, Hassan Musa Kamal, was selling his property in Cape Point. And the guy needed something like $300,000 then. Lots of money then. He doesn't have it. And that person was seen as a big businessman in the Gambia. He went and took someone's money. He took the bulk. I mean, and the interest was not paid to the bank and to the person's money used. Interest groups. Now, this system, you will surprise who benefited. Interest groups benefited from this. Central bank would do anything for interest groups. They are controlled by interest groups. Go and find out. Go and find out the Padem culture in central bank. And that's another way of them making money. Go and find out how much central bank spend on Padem. Operational cost of the central bank. Go and find out. People will tell the system, their system, people come and they want to pay small school fees. I have to pay the school fees of my kids because they are abroad or they are in private schools. And the Gambians don't, every Gambian don't have that benefit. And they say, okay, they put them on trips. They create something for them to travel, to get the Padems to pay that. Oh, I'm health. I'm going to have a function coming in somewhere. My son, my daughter, my this, or my house roof have to be this thing, Padem. Or I have to go on medical, I have to go on this, Padem. Some of them even probably, they need to come to London for their graduation of their kids. Now they have to try and put on something on somewhere to get Padem, or go somewhere and try so that they can come to London, change their tickets and stuff like that. But the average Gambians. Vested interest, and all these people, what they have in common, they will never support a candidate that would not keep the system or the same. Any candidate to come to disrupt that, they will not support you. They will go after you. And these are the same people that will put the messages, put the everything, or do lila tribalist, do lila, and that's what they do. They want the system intact, system to continue, but it's just stupid because it's not sustainable. The country is just going to rocks, and you think these people will just sit down? Yes, I know Gambian's threshold of up is far, but something will come. Kukoi Sabasanya happened. You think it was just because of some people were stupid? No, there were issues. There were realities out there. You think 94 just happened because of their greed? No. Yes, the vested interest had. Every time the vested interest would be in it. That's why people needed to be educated to understand this, to know how to challenge the vested interest. Now, let's come to the main thing again, the port. As I said, the port of Banjul, and I love this, and I love the Directorate of Audit, Director General of Audit. I love I cannot even say the manager, I love the bureau. I mean, they've been doing a brilliant job. They've been doing a brilliant job. All the time they come out now, they're coming out with reports, and just wonderful. And I will just, let me find it. I've shared it with some people. Okay. You see, what I like about this is not Ben Suarez speculating or this or no. I'm taking it from government institution. Now, again, the background of this. As I said, 1992, built 2 anchors for ships to dock. Since then, Yajame did not build any. Barrow did not build any. And for any forward-thinking visionary would know, oh, I need an expansion program. And what should be my priority? Strategy and priority for my expansion program. Or I need to able to get 2 to 3 more ships at a time. And your vision would be that. And now the strategy will come in and build that. But no, they always go for the lowest hanging fruit to eat, to chop. What is the chop? To go and acquisition, to take properties around the port, so that compensations and due diligence and everything, they can cut deals with lawyers and everything else to eat. But if they go for the other things, the main bits of what the contract, probably a Chinese company is going to come in to build it. And other companies come out to it, they don't have that much interest. This is straight away. And they do. Now, ask yourself, who is the managing director of that place? Jobate. Who is Jobate? A proven enabler. During Yaya Jammeh time, this guy came and testified at the Janneh Commission that he was within the system working at ports or ferries or wherever. He was taking safer to Yaya Jammeh in cash. Now, if that person end up being appointed to run that institution, what do you want? To do the same thing for you. And if I accuse Barrow that he's taking cash from Jobate, you would blame me? Does it not make sense? It's not rational? It's not plausible? This is the argument. Now, either he's incompetent, we know he's corrupt, and we believe he's incompetent because he's failed. Now, and Barrow was, and I said this, Barrow was, hey, yeah, now we have 4 months export cover. Now our port is busy. Now it takes 3 weeks. I said, my God, does the president believe that taking 3 weeks to clear stuff is because of you are busy or you are inefficient? Does he understand what efficiency means? What will lead you for 3 weeks? You think ahead. You would avoid taking 3 weeks to clear. And what makes you clear, taking you 3 weeks to clear? Why not solve that problem? Why you keep on going for expansion? And the biggest scam here, because the MD allows it, Minister of Works allows it, everybody allows it, the vested interest. Let me tell you the vested interest, what they did. Hadim guy again, the same Hadim guy that have now probably is going to $60 million. It was 50 million, 35 million, it went to 50 million, probably now 60 million to Banyan roads and drainage. And go and look at the works. Go and look at the works. Still now, you think by that all of Banyan will be done. No, they're still giving him more. And nothing is resolved. Look at rehabilitation of gutters. Gutters, not drainage, gutters. Yes, I call it gutters. Why? It's not a sophisticated drainage system it's going to build or anything else. It's just rehabilitating them, using a machine to bring in the blocks, cover some of them and so on. Is that, I mean, but let's see. The same Hadim guy went and borrowed land owned by government to use that land as a depot, as a facilities in order to use for these heavy lift cranes or whatever you have to do the works of Banyan project. Now that Hadim guy decided that there's an opportunity here, as vested interest, he went through the works minister and Barrow. They sat down and drafted a plan. That land was given to him to use temporarily to do the projects for government. Now will be converted to lease it to him. Now, if it's converted to lease to Hadim, Hadim is going to develop that, and the development is just to make sure, raise the soil, build the surface, put a fence around it, put guards around it, and get what? Use it as a container terminal. Now, I forgot the amount again that they pay daily for a container. I see $36 or euros a container a day to store it in that. Now, Port Authority now would have to come to Hadim Guy to use Hadim Guy's premises to pay that much. Now, Hadim turned around to say, not even that, I'm not only going to store your containers, now I will have to use vehicles, my vehicles, and you pay me. You are not going to use your port's vehicles. You're going to use my vehicles to move the containers. And you're going to pay me for that. Because of what? Bailam and Job, Barrow, have an interest in it. The vested interest here is Hadim Guy, and he induced them for them to allow this. Now Gambians lose, Port Authority lose. Now you wonder why Port Authority failed. The development that meant to happen. One, Barrow did not appoint the right person who is competent and will fight corruption, but he chose someone who's incompetent and corrupt, proven by not Ben Suare, but by the commission that he have already, this things which was the Janneh Commission. Now he dealt with the vested interest, Hadim Guy, to have that project again by giving our own land to lease and to just do a little of amendment. Why did Port Authority not do it? Why do we allow that? And they will say that it's for the private sector. That's a lie. That's not a private sector. That's a vested interest that president is benefiting from. And go and find out how much Hadim Guy have sponsored the NPP. That's why I said that if you don't fight these people, And the same Harding guy would sponsor people that will go around the media and to divide us more. That's what they do. That's how they control the media. That's why you don't hear the Gambian media talk about them. And listen to this. This is the audit report here. The National Audit Office of the Gambia has reported that the country-only seaport acted as a maritime gateway for transit good cargo in the sub-region might lose its trade benefits to neighboring countries that sought to improve their ports. We knew this. Saudi government knew this in 1987. To 88, 89 started the port development project and phase one, what was the anchors, 2 anchors built by the Chinese, and the expansion should have continued. Now, it was what, as I said at the opening, that the transit trade was I think probably second after agriculture was the transit trade and tourism, whichever way they come, but the GDP earner for the country. It was so important in our economy, and they invested in this. But what happened? No investments, and the money being looted. It continued, borrow, and still continued. Now we lose our competitive edge. Now Senegal is improving their port, Guinea-Conakry is, and even Guinea-Bissau. Dubai port is investing in Guinea-Bissau. And all these companies could have invested in Gambia. But no, Barrow wants it this way too, and the vested interest wants it this way. Let's go on. The Gambia Port Authorities is mandated to handle all cargoes entering the Gambia through its seaport, which amount to 80% of international trade. According to reports, more than 70% of throughput handling by the port is for the countries within the sub-region. 80% comes through the cargo as cargo through the seaport. 70% should be going through out. You should know how much. They said 10%. It's more than 10%, because that's another corruption there. They have bonded warehouses that they take these things and say that, oh, it's gonna this thing, so that they will not pay some of this cost trying these things, and they put it there. And Wage is very good at that. But let's leave that. Now, this is what they do. This is 7% goes through Gambia to other countries, and us create jobs for our people, and us revenue, and us foreign coins, because of the vehicles that come in from Guinea, come into other countries, bring their CFA to spend in the Gambia, and others to Nigeria, probably bring their dollars, and others, and this is all, we benefit from this and create jobs for us to process this in. And they pay fees, services to the ports, for the GPA to have something from it. According to the report, more than 70% of the throughput handling by the ports is for other countries within the sub-region. The port was reported to have handled up to 49,478 feet equivalent of transit cargo between the period of 2016 to 2020. Contrary to a statement of former Trade Minister Sidi Keta that goods coming from Dakar port is bonus to Gambia economy, the finding of the audit reported shows specific concern about the port narrow competitive edge that could threaten its trade benefits. Now, this person who said the dumbest, Trade Minister said the dumbest, that a lay person would not have said, was promoted to be your finance minister, because of he is part of that state capture. He is been captured. He is part of the cartel. He is part of the vested interest. Mohamed Dia and others boy now is the finance minister. That's what we have in Gambia. That's why we feel. Go and find out how much Mohamed Dia gave the NPP and what he does to support the NPP and what he does to support the IJM. It was in the office. That's what they do. And he was created by the Jawara government anyway. That's how he built his foundations. But they all went and supported Jammeh. They don't have friends. And if care is not taken, the country tend to lose its trade benefits to the neighboring countries like Senegal, Guinea-Conakry, that sought to improve their ports, say the NAO report. And I said Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is building their ports. Now, this is happening now. And what this the government does? Still nothing. Still, the same management is in charge, same board is in charge. I'm coming to the board. You see what they're going to say about the board. According to the findings of the audit report, that covers the period of 2016 to 2020, the vessel turnaround time at the ports of Banjul is significantly below standard. That's why when Barrow's celebrating that, oh, we're so busy now, we're so busy now, we're so busy now. Just tell you that if you appoint someone who is clueless as a president, cannot understand the basics of economy, oh, we're so busy now. No, you are inefficient. Your government is efficient. Your port office is efficient. That's why it's taking them long to turn around. And transportation, be it air or cargo, is the turnaround. The turnaround, that's what makes them profit. If they not, they charge it. It becomes a premium to come to your destination. It highlighted the delay at the anchorage and discharge containers. The anchorage, because they still have 2 anchors from 1992. If Jammeh have built another anchor, if Barrow have built another anchor, we will not have a problem. That's why they don't have a vision. That's why people who keep on saying Jammeh's development, Barrow, where are the development? You're building roads for nowhere. And now, in order to build those roads, to benefit from those roads, you are not creating those industries to work on it. You building infrastructure, you say you building rural electric, but if you don't have services that run in the rural, how can you sustain a rural electrification? You think people can afford to pay for the electrification? No. That's the failure of development, they think. Continue to say, this is due to limited bike available, absence of modern discharge equipment, such as mobile cranes and mobile gantry crane, among others. Again, if you are in a business that is productive, can be developed, that can be expanded. If you don't have the money now, why not go and take a loan and buy the cranes, buy the badges and everything to make the money? Because the money is not there. It's going on operational costs that is not bringing anything productive for that company. From per diems to money being put in sacks and given to Barrow, police station been built in nowhere in Makomokuda for who? You have a hamlet, Makomokuda's hamlet. Why did you build a police station? For Barrow. You see, this is what happened. And vested interest. Let's see. This congestion is precipitated by numerous factors ranging from terminal space management, terminal layout, age, stove those workers, plant availability, importers using the port as a storage facility, to the high level of bureaucracy involved in the clearance. All this can be remedied. The audit report have pointed it out. Or could be remedied. The management should have found a way to find out this. You will find out what happened. Why the management did not deal with this. This report stated it further revealed the lack of established supervision and monitoring mechanism at the ports. You see, either incompetent, deliberate. I think it's deliberate because they don't want the system to change. They want it to be like that so that they can control. Continue. The only monitoring mechanism in place is not active, as the auditors have noted that the internal audit committee does not meet frequently. Why? That's why in accountability you have a vertical and a horizontal. You have a way and measures to make sure that loopholes are fixed. A horizontal and a vertical. You don't leave the company GPA only to have an audit, internal audit committee. The Minister of Finance should have a way of determining the performance of the port. They should have a way of determining, measuring, and giving them a task to complete. Let's move on. The report shows that the monitoring mechanism in place is not adequate to effectively monitor the activities of the port. It's deliberate. They don't want it. The system in place are not robust enough to be able to set indicators and to be able to measure whether the port is prudent, efficient, and effective. The auditors pointed out. That's why I said not only an internal body to do that, but an external to do that, and the Minister of Finance should have done that, knowing the potential of that place. And Minister of Finance would have access to these reports to know. But it's a cabal. It's a cabal. Let's move on. The system in place, the auditor recommended the board to ensure that internal auditor reports are discussed and actions are taken to remedy the concern raised and conduct follow-ups on the report to resolve matters. You see, go and find out who the auditors are, the board are. They make sure that even the board members are part of the vested interest. They know what to do. They will not run their business in this manner, but they will do it because it's a vested interest. All these people benefit. It is said that Gambia did not have the legal framework to attract private participation, such as granting of concession and other forms of public-private collaboration. Severe investment, both national and international companies have reportedly shown interest, but none of them were successful. They don't want to be successful. It is deliberate. They don't put a framework. It's deliberate. It's not because of incompetency. It's deliberate. They want us to keep it this way, to milk it. Again, who is going to benefit Senegal and other countries? Now, Gambia, this is what we have in front of us. And my energy is just gone. I would have continued to give you a perspective of this again to understand. What is happening in Senegal today is testimony of the vested interest now supporting Macky Sall in order to stop an imagined force, an anti-establishment force. I am not saying that Sonko is perfect. I'm not saying that Sonko should be the leader. That's for Senegal to debate and Senegal to foster. But the important lesson from here is to understand how the vested interests work. And again, it's for democracy. Senegal will end up voting for. But Senegal, in order for them to vote for the person that they want, the system has to be right. But the vested interests are holding on to Macky Sall in order Macky Sall to stay, for them to continue doing what they do. When the average Senegalese is not satisfied. And the average Senegalese is looking for alternative, and they have someone who they believe or people they believe. And people have to remember this. What is happening in Senegal is not Sonko and Macky Sall. It's an establishment against an anti-establishment. And the anti-establishment have taken a lead now to the extent of part of the establishment fragmented to come and support the anti-establishment. The movement that Sonko lead is passive and anti-establishment. Now, and the coalition of opposition, this thing now, WADA for party is there, Khalifa Salah, this thing is there, and other entities are part of it now because of the lead. Why does it matter to Gambia? Gambia is not an island, especially when it comes to Senegal. I have said it here before. I've taken examples from different countries. We can take examples from developed countries. We can take examples from here. I do all the time. And we can learn from everywhere else. But there is no country that we can learn from more than what we can learn from Senegal. But again, what impacts Senegal impacts us. If it is positive, impacts us. If negative, impacts us. Then we have to have an interest in Senegal's politics. And if we understand our history of politics and our history as a nation, Senegal have always been part of our decision making. We have to factor what Senegal thinks, or what Senegal is going to react, or how they're going to do things. Even to acquire our independence, it was debated. And Senegal took interest to the extent of they sent their then Prime Minister, Jah, to come to the Gambia to try to win over support for a federation or some sort. And when Jah came to the Gambia, realized the importance of winning this support, went to speak to the youths first. Youths of the Gambia. Went to talk to the trade unions. Then they were vibrant before sitting down with the leaders. We have to understand this perspective of history. For people saying that, why, I understand. People that only take interest in politics when it comes to outside of Gambia. But when it comes to Gambia, they tend to be neutral, or they don't want to talk politics. I understand that bit. But if anyone is a political animal, anyone have an interest in politics, anyone have an interest in how your country is governed, you have to have an interest of what is beyond your boundaries, especially countries that influence what happens in your country, countries that you share strategic partnership with, country that you have, you need to work with to develop each other or forward. Be it America, be it whatever country it is, you need to have that interest. And Senegal be it that. And being a young democracy, whatever we call ourselves, we have to understand in fact, our similarity with Senegal is so much. If you understand from independence to our politics and so on. If you know, if you follow, you will see the similarities. And you understand, you see the similarities. If not, what people do is just to choose, pick cherries. Oh, Senegal is different from us. Senegal, no. The difference is from leadership. When they take up leadership. And this is what Sonko have done. The background of Sonko, he have done, and one mistake he's done, to go to the massage parlor, which I said. And Senegalese government, stupid enough, trying to take that as a way to victimize him. What he have done was immoral. I'll tell you that. We all know why he went to the massage parlor. It's immoral, and what if they had that argument alone, not to try to criminalize it, try to frame him, Sonko's political career would have ended. Because his political career was based on clean. I'm a clean person, and this and this. Doesn't mean that he's so clean. Because you cannot find the perfect person. It's a matter of whether it's the person's weaknesses are found out or not. But an individual does not make a government. An individual does not make everything else. But once especially his weakness identified, the supporters and people around him can support him. Now, apart from that, the guy have doing everything right. And if people think and understand, Sonko is very calculated. This thing is not happening by accident. And don't think, I am giving a comparison here. Most people think, oh, Barack Obama happened by accident. Oh, Barack, just Muneka. That's a lie. Barack thought about this. Barack worked on this. Barack straight on this. Barack consulted on this. Barack have a support system on this and came on. Sonko thought about leadership. Sonko worked on leadership. Sonko did everything and had a vision. And that leadership paid dividends. The state capture I'm talking about, the vested interest I'm talking about in the Gambia, presence in UK, America, everywhere else. The conservative, the Democrats go and find the vested interest. Why Bernie Sanders will not be a president is because of the vested interest will not back him. Why Jeremy Corbyn will not be a prime minister in UK, the vested interest will not back him. You have to understand now. But we have the worst sort of vested interest in the developing countries. They don't sustain themselves. They break everything because of their greed. Now, if you look at what happened in Gambia, it's happening in Senegal. Macky Sall ended up becoming because of the people. Vested interest control everything. If you understand the vested interest, Senghor was not going to be a prime minister. There was the prime minister. There was going to be the first president of Senegal. Go and find out the history of Senegalese politics. Tell you, technically, that was the first coup d'etat. We might say there's no military coup d'etat in Senegal, but there was a constitutional coup d'etat, there was a political coup d'etat that Dia did not become the first president. And again, vested interest, France and their enabling factors. And so that Senghor became the president. That went on. They transitioned, they worked on a democracy, they fought a lot. You'll be surprised how much they have to deal with. Democracy comes with conflict. It's how you manage that conflict that's what matters. You don't say that democracy happens, there will be no conflict, there will be no tension. No. Democracy allows that to happen. Is how you manage that. There's a rule of law. There's a constitution. That's how you manage it. Allow it. And what happened to the excellent people killed before? I mean, all these things happened. Abdoulaye Wade came and the vested interest became unsustainable. the Samuel Sarr, the Baldis, the Pam Pam went in, to the extent of trying to recreate and disrupt the instruments or the mechanisms that kept Senegal together. The first time for a president to identify himself as a Murid or belonging to one of the sects. Senghor was a Christian, a minority, did not matter. Abdou Diouf was not known to subscribe to any of the sects. He was a Muslim, the wife was a Christian. In fact, Abdou Diouf would go to Mass on a Christmas or whatever it is to accompany the wife. It has never been an issue. But in order to entrench themselves, the vested interest, once they come into government with Abdoulaye Wade, they wanted to disturb that and went to declare themselves. And I'll tell you, that vested interest, most of them probably are atheists. Some call them Freemasons and others. Probably they are atheists. Or they don't care about religion. They might be spiritual. But they have to use the Muridia for what? Because of the militant, the progress, the support, the base of the Muridia. Before, what happened is, the sitting government benefits from endorsement, technical endorsement from the Khalifa, legal, and they technically, I'm not sure whether I'm not sure, I've never had it, that even the Ndigal will come from the mouth of the Khalifa said Sanil and Senghor, Sanil and Abdou Diouf, I'm not sure. But I think technically people will get it. The disciples will get it through the communication branches they have would trickle down to contact Nancy Nguri, and that would mean tenaciously go and support, vote for him. But because of the challenge, the change, the times, that even the Khalifas have to kind of conform with some of these influences, the youths. These people wanted control. It was so challenging to entrench themselves. They come in the first time an opposition to be in government. Remember, they had to entrench themselves. Abdou Diouf came from the party, PDS, Party Socialist, PDS, Party Democratic Socialist for the Wade. Now, Wade had to be a Murid and started to induce the Muridia movement. All these small talibis, diplomatic passport, money, very, very generous to them. And in fact, segregated other denominations, the Somali Tijanis and others, which started to bring even conflict. And the vested interest started to build, do their things. And just the corruption just went out of everything. To the extent of amending the constitution to the 2 terms. We come there. Amend the constitution in order to justify running a technicality, creating a technicality for a 3rd term. And the technicality is here that you amend the constitution significantly. If you do it significantly during that term, with part of the amendment is your term limit, that from say 5 years to 7 years. What it does now, you justify that the first time you served would not be counted, then the counting will start from after the amendment. And technically, what you take it to the constitutional courts, what happened? Constitutional courts agreed with your interpretation, and they allow it. Senegal is demonstrated, but they could not stop it. He had to go for 3rd term, to attempt to go for 3rd term. But at that time, too, the corruption and everything, even though, yeah, there was a lot of development in Senegal, the OIC project came out, they have this new concept, the Senegal image, they building, what you see in build Senegal today was at the vision. Now, this happened, opposition came out. The youths, civil society, Yanamar, just said it's enough. We cannot take this. And we have seen where this is going. He's taking the 3rd term in order to pass this presidency to the son, Karim. Now, Karim was already minister for everything. The minister of air, minister of land, minister of sea. Technically, that's what they call him. Now, he wants to coronate Karim to be our president. We are not going to allow this. We are not a monarchy. That hereditary system would not happen in Senegal. Macky Sall was enraged because Macky Sall thought that he was groomed. You know, just like Bibi Dabo thought he was groomed by Jawara. Macky Sall was groomed up to the point of Prime Minister. Macky Sall ran the last campaign of elections, and in fact, Wada won more. In a better position with Macky Sall campaign as Prime Minister, Interior Minister promoted to Prime Minister. Macky Sall thought, now I am going to inherit now 2 terms. This will finish. I'll be the next president. No. Abdoulaye Wade removed him from Prime Minister to House of Parliament. Macky Sall was not happy. Now Macky Sall started within the system to defy and to be seen as anti-establishment. And before that defiance was true one, to call for accountability at the House. To call for Wade's son, Karim, to be held accountable for the project's corruption accountability. And he was sacked. And he fell out. And he had to run to the Mauritius to fix the fence. But he was let to be free. He was not jailed or anything, to be free. Then he went and built a political party. But the political party did not have contraction. Now, because of the youths are so enraged, they want to see change. They don't want the establishment anymore. They don't want WADA and what WADA establishment. They don't want Idrissa Seck. They don't want, Mustafa Niasse. They don't want anybody else. But there was no other alternative candidate. They settled with the first round. They did not support anything. And they went to the second round. Now, in order, the reason Macky Sall had that leverage was because of he went and took the platform of Yanamar. There were so many disturbances, and when he went and showed solidarity, and he was talking this language of the anti-establishment. That's why today the VAR happening, he was speaking as an anti-establishment, calling out about the democratization, saying that protests should be allowed, saying that the police, the interior ministry should not intervene. The establishment was not saying that. Just like now, the opposition coalition that is speaking out is saying these things, but the opposition that is with Macky Sall are not saying this. Macky Sall was saying what the anti-establishment wanted to hear. Yanamar and the youths came behind him that gave him a lead to the second round. In the second round, all the moderate politicians decided to come and back him because of the change they want to see in Senegal. The reason they backed him more was to stop this issue about third term being a possibility in Senegal, to take Wade election. Again, to make sure Wade would not coronate, what's his name, his son. They came and support him. They could have, second round, they could have gone and support Wade. Wade led the first round. Wade was generous. Wade could have bribed them. Wade could have promised them positions. No, they went and support Sall. And if you understand Senegalese politics, you have more prominent people that came from northern Senegal. And the most popular of that was Djiboka. Go and find out who is Djiboka. Djiboka was not Senegal, I tell you, sub-region, because he was a handsome man. He was an elegant man. He was very articulated. He's been a external affairs man. He's been very listening. But he dare never try to challenge to lead an opposition. Even though when he fall out with this, because of the concept of who is to govern. The background of Macky Sall, he would not dare have thinking of becoming a president or prime minister. That's why Wade keep on saying that I made you. I made you who you became. I picked you from nowhere. I thought I trusted you. I took you here, but you are the one that offended me more than anyone else. You treated me badly than anyone else have ever did. Even as an opposition, never been treated that way. Even being locked up was not that bad because what you did to my son. Now, this person became because of this. Then he served, and later what happened? First 5 years popularity. Second year, he went for the same technicality that Wada did. Amend the constitution. I want Gambia to understand why this is a problem. Amend the constitution from that 7 years to a 5-year time. He already served for 7 years. Now, he made an amendment, a critical part. When he made the amendment, some people became suspicious. So much so that to force him to come out, or even to add a caveat, to say that, to tie it up, caveat, to tie it up so much on the writers that you cannot serve more than 2 terms. I can pronounce this. I mean together. I mean one after the other. I mean you can serve 2 terms of 5 years. Then you have to leave. If you are going to come back, you're allowed to come out after other elections, but not this. This thing. It has to be put in there because of the pressure. That's the importance of pressure. That's the importance of protest. But, and I'll play this for you to hear from his own this thing. And I think this was in 2021. Because of, again, you know why Senegalese had made an issue of this. Senegalese knew what they're doing. They are proactive. They are preempting what is going to happen to provide, make sure bloodsheds will not be happening. Listen to what Macky Sall said in 2021.
wax joo xam ni kenn xamul fu mu jógee ak lan moo ko tax a jóg ndax réew mi jàpp naa ni démocratie la buy dox 2016 man maa proposé askanu Sénégal révision constitutionnelle boo xam ne dama ni mbirum mandat yi dafa war a jeex dàkk ñëpp jàpp ne réew mi kenn mënatu fi toog lu ëpp ñaari mandat dañ ko bind mu leer nañ nul ne peut faire plus de 2 mandats consécutifs xanaa kay ku jàng tubaab boo ko firilee loolu war na xam ne indépendamment référendum loi 2016 wala loi 91 dañu ne mandat bi juróomi at la benn yoon lañ ko mën a renouveler muy donc boo ko renouveler muy ñaari mandat ñu yokkaat ci leneen lu koy tëj de toute façon kenn mënul def lu ëpp ñaari mandat yu tegale donc loolu la constitution bi wax donc loolu lu leer na man maa ngi sama benn mandat boo xam ne bu ci yàlla àndee 2019 lay jeex ci coobare sunu borom ak bëgg-bëgg Sénégalais yi bu fekkee ne jàpp nañ ne liggéey bi ñu sumb ñu ngi koy teg ci yoon am nañu seen kóolute dina renouveler mandat boobu 2019 su boobaa man pare naa ci loolu dama bëgg wax jooju ñu teg ko fële te ñu jublu ci liggéey waaye li ma xaw a jaaxal nag ci réew mi mooy foo nekk ci liggéey rek dinañ la andil wax joo xam ne boo moytuwul boo leen ci toppee dina la tardel te jaru ko kon fi ma toll li ma bëgg a def daal mooy continuer liggéey bi nga xam ne yéen a ma ko dënk su paree ñu seet boo leen ñu wóoluwaatee am ngeen possibilité renouveler mandat président de la république su boobaa wax ji jeex na waa keneen la ñu wax ndax munoo def lu ëpp ñaari mandat yu teg la.
Okay, you see the importance of this, yeah? At that time, he's thinking that he wanted to say they're agitating for nothing. People have a reason. Senegalese have a reason. Senegalese intelligentsia have a reason to listen. Thank you very much. I stutter. I cannot pronounce certain words. That's I know the word, but I can't pronounce it. If I try, probably I will. But that's what it means. Senegalese knew what was happening. Intellectuals knew what's happening. Now he said, oh, the intellectuals just raining onto something. No. It's proven now. They knew. They tried to preempt it. Now, he went on to do the amendments and everything, sugar-coated with the diaspora vote and everything for the referendum to be voted in. Now he's saying this. Now, we have found out West Africa ECOWAS have a table so that this would be part of the West Africa protocols, election this thing, to say that you will not. Macky Sall ministers refused to sign it. Refused. Because if he believed in it, why did not? Barrow signed it, Barrow minister signed it, and other ministers signed it. He did not sign it, Ivory Coast did not sign it, Ouattara, Togo did not sign it. Because they are all dictators, and Macky wants to be a dictator. But we'll get to reason why. Why did he have change of mind? He thought about that. Now, not only that, we realized, Senegal realized something, that whoever have a potential to replace him, he will make sure you are in trouble. Karim Wade. Why? People who said, okay, Karim Wade was corrupt, this thing, fine. But if it was for corruption, and Karim Wade was taken to this thing, why he decided to take a narrow path to avoid widening the path and so those people responsible were, they said, no, Karim was the only person sentenced. Samuel Sarr, Balde, others, Ngom, others, so many of them. None of those vested interests have been punished. In fact, those people turned around to support him. You see the vested interests. These people that what they have made, the vested interest that what they have made to be who they are today in Senegal, to make them be who they are today, disappointed Wade, and now went and joined Macky Sall. You see the example, just like Barrow. Now people from Jammeh are the one following Barrow. Technically, they are the only one following Barrow. Every appointment now you can see them. This is what happened. Now because of that, not only Halifa Sallah, and then from when he got rid of Karim, because of the PDS2 was Wade. You know Gambian African politics, they own the party. Everything was Wade. Now apart from Wade, Wade's nominating his son, and he want to make the possibility that his son will be president, still he's all holding on to that. The old man did not leave that. That affected the PDS. They could not have a candidate. Now, another candidate he identified was Halifa Sallah, who was the mayor of Dakar and who understand the influence of mayor of Dakar, not only mayor of Dakar, in Moscow, Istanbul, Erdogan was the mayor of Istanbul, and other countries, mayor of France. I think Francois Mitterrand and others were mayor of France. You have influence. And when he understands his influence, he framed on charges, friendly charges, and lock this guy up. Get him out of the way. Now, his other opponents, Idrissa Seck, Mustafa Niasse, and others, he bribed or bring them in the fold. You see, he's dismantling the opposition. He went for Y'en a marre, the civil society movement, the youths that stood to make sure he came on their shoulder to become an anti-establishment, to win an election. He went after them. He appointed interior ministers who will go after them, starting to say that those people are having funding from outside, diaspora, from terrorist movement, or nonsense. Started to look into their lifestyle or lives to try to charge them with drug offenses, charge them for other immoral behaviors, to dismantle them. And these are the people that make it possible. Anything that would bring about change, you fight. That's not enough. Now Sonko ultimately, he created Sonko. In a sense, he gave the only this thing. Now Sonko became the only viable this thing. Not that Sonko worked very hard. As I said, as Obama, Sonko thought about it. You think when Sonko was a tax officer started to agitate, you think Sonko going to write papers to talk about things that it was just by he was want to write? He want to be a leader. And he did the right thing. When Obama write the dreams of my father, the audacity of hope and everything else, and visiting family, yeah, I'm not saying that he visited his family or finding his roots, that was the reason. To complete him to me something. Sonko did the same thing, and yeah, the environment created now Sonko become the viable candidates. And the establishment work on it. Now, he have to find a way. And Sonko made the mistake visiting Masak Palo. But it failed. Now, the reason that support helped Sonko, in fact, now the people understand, look, this is not about the Masak Palo. This is about trying to stop Sonko. Now it's like Macky Sall just want to take everything. Why does he want someone to succeed? Why does he want to kill off the opposition? If you kill off the opposition in a democracy, what does that mean? A dictatorship. Not only that, Macky Sall, after made sure that anyone who talked about third term, against the third term within his government, you are out. The most experienced, productive ministers were out. And he brought silly people and appointed them. He ensured that he had an amendment and take out the position of prime minister so that nobody will have influence. He brought his family members, his brother, wife's family into government and positions and make them filthy rich. He brought people who were just griots, loudmouths, and make them multi-billionaires. Interest groups, multi-billionaires. All that. But the worst was the exposure of BBC on the oil deal. Something that Sonko started. You see, that's why a proactive opposition, that's what it was. And now Sonko came out with solutions, telling Senegal, this is our solutions. We have this, we have that, we have these minerals, we do this, we do this. As an anti-establishment, give them solution. Give them hope. Saying that he is going to fight the vested interests. Saying that I have not been corrupt. I've never been found corrupt. I was in a position to be corrupt. I refuse to be corrupt. I will fight the vested interest, be France or anywhere else. I'll make sure that everything will be negotiated. They don't like it. The vested interests don't like it. They'll come and fight. They'll support this thing. That is the problem. And don't be surprised. They use tribe. They use everything against Sonko and his movement. They label them as violent. They label them as angry and everything else. The same thing we see in Gambia. And we can tell even Gambia would be learning from there. That's where they learn these things from. We don't have a difference in this. When we take an interest in Senegal, this is why we should take interest in Senegal, to learn and to make sure that whatever it is, if we can even support to support, doesn't mean that we are going to vote, no. To voice out. Social media is here. Solidarity across borders. Be it Nigeria, be it Ghana or where we think an African will be doing good, we have to support them. Democracy flourish, we have to support. But not only that. Now the biggest thing was Macky Sall's been found out to be one of the most corrupt in almost everything. His son, that he's not active, not nothing, became a billionaire because of, we found out procurements. Procurements given by government. His son now is a billionaire in Senegal. His wife's brother's daughter is a millionaire doing cattle ranch. You think an ordinary Senegalese will just become a millionaire? No. It's the vested interest that make them. These Senegalese youths are dying in the back way. And as I said again, these are youths who are fishermen, who are active. But everything is gone to the EU and China. Just as in the Gambia. Now the youths don't have hope. They're taking the back way, dying. But their children are not. Their children are going in private school, going in Dubai and other places, living in those places. This is what they have to fight. This is what we are fighting. It's not that if Sonko comes, he's going to treat us this, but if we treat ourselves better, we'll stand a chance with Sonko's government or any other government. Sonko might not be the president. But that democracy allowed them to choose their president. The reason now, you ask yourself, why now then Macky Sall is following the third term? And what's the evidence? Evidence first, the ECOWAS, he refused to sign the 2 terms. But again, you say, but you must give an argument to say, oh, but it's in the constitution of Senegal. Believe this. Even though there's a caveat, as he pointed out, there's a caveat to make it very clear that consecutively, you cannot serve 2 terms. Even though that's it, he will break it if allowed. He will attempt it if Senegal don't fight. Because of what? The constitutional court magistrates are chosen by Salah. Khalifa Saleh, Macky Sall, and he bribes them to give rulings that support what he wants. Give you an example. One of the reasons for this demonstration is not about the third term, it's part of it. But mainly, Senegal have this Ablaye Wade introduced. Again, Ablaye Wade did that to complicate matters, to have control, so that opposition can easily be taken out of the system. They have a list. You have to have a list of positive discrimination, like gender equality. I'm not saying that gender equality is wrong, but they put it in a way you have to put a list, and if you fail the list, you can be disqualified. That's what they did. Now, in certain areas, the opposition coalition of Sonko and others made their list and made a mistake. But the mistake was realized within the time frame. The law allowed them to amend the mistake and resubmit. They don't allow them to do that. The election the supervisors did not allow them to amend their mistake and give it, and the policy or the law or the regulation allowed them to do that. One. Two, the Macky Sall's party and his coalition did a similar mistake, and they did not realize it till after the time frame finished. They should not have a candidate. Guess what? The independent supervisors allow Macky Sall coalition to have a candidate, even though they completely break the law and they could not amend it. The opposition, Sonko's opposition, made a mistake, could have been amended, the law would not have been broken. They did not allow them to amend. Now they went to the Constitutional Court. If the Constitutional Court was fair, they would have allowed Sonko's people to run and disallow Macky Sall not to run. But they did it the wrong way. They disallowed Sonko's people to run and they allowed Macky Sall to run. This is what they're demonstrating. Technically, you're saying that the opposition is not going to have candidates in parliamentary. Do you know why? Again, they went to the local government. The local government, remember these elections were delayed, technically because of Macky Sall was scared of the outcome. They manipulated the local government. They sponsored candidates, they put in money, they used tribal differences, they used everything. They paid, just as we see in the Gambia, people in the diaspora being paid to travel to Gambia to insult opposition leaders, insult anybody for Barrow. And they would, from there, they will go and sit with Barrow and take pictures. Or some people living in Gambia, youths, that will insult on TV, on social media, and you see them pictures with Barrow. The same thing happened in Senegal. They have now a specialty that if you want money, go and insult the opposition and say, people, there's this gentleman that have insulted Macky Sall's mom, father, and everything. Macky Sall's wife, mom, and father insulted the children and everything. That person now crossed over. Now he's been seen interviewing Macky Sall, doing PR for them and everything. You think for free? You think for loving for Macky? No. All these things they use. And yes, the opposition will come and pay back. They will come and fight back. But they're not sent by their leaders. Now, the local government came out, major places won by the opposition. Mbake was a shock. Mbake, Dakar, Kaula, Chess, Idris Seck, a shock. Kaula, some in the Casamance, Ziguinchor and others. And now, if the outcome of the local government, if it was the popular vote was converted into elections, Macky would have gone into second round, round with the opposition. They become scared. Now they want to make sure this thing is not repeated, and the same opposition coalition has positioned to win the same thing or more. Now that's what Macky is going after. And the reason the opposition came together to do this, that's why Gambian opposition to think of it, you have to take up an establishment, you have to be together as an opposition. Now, the opposition doing this, that if they win the parliamentary at a good position, they will take majority in parliament. And if they do that, we make it very difficult to Macky Sall to even voice out the third term. And if Macky Sall did not voice out the third term, it's a preemptive measure to quieten this trouble, so that people would not need to go out to demonstrate. Proactive. They think ahead. They're doing the right thing. People who didn't understand or technically taking this to be something else, no. The opposition, and it's not Sonko, the opposition, I mean, are doing the right thing in Senegal. And it's about democracy and it should be supported. Now, this is where they are. Now, Gambia should understand the vested interests, how they operate and how they work. I was so tired, I didn't think I was going to get into the Senegalese explanation, but it was important to give that perspective. I am glad I was able to do that, to share it with you guys. Thank you very much and have a good evening. Jay Jeff.